Nerds International proudly presents
bonus, delicious bonus content. Bonus, bonus content. Bonus was like bonus content and that, mate.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Ali A with another annoying video game video of some shit. So let's check it out, shall we?
Oh no, it's not Ali A, thankfully. It's Nikk Lambslice from the TableTopTwats podcast, and I am here to present to you some more bonus content. Now, you may have noticed earlier in the week that we released Larry Larrison, which was done by James Clark, and I am here to try and do something in the same vein. This was a letter that was sent in a very long time ago, so first of all I'd like to send out a massive apology to Luis Peneda, the writer. I've been sitting on this for a very long time,
Almost like 100 years.
no, but it has felt like that. I've been a bit shy, to be honest with you. I've tried to record it a few times and wasn't happy with it, and yes, I'm rubbish. So apologies for that, but it's here finally. So why don't you sit back, relax, and hopefully enjoy this story. Hello, twats. So this took place a couple of years back with a pretty decent group of players. We would meet once every couple of weeks on Saturdays from about 12 till 6. Everybody always brought snacks and drinks, so it felt more like a social get-together than gaming. But we still went pretty hard because everyone had obligations and responsibilities, so every minute of game time was precious. Fair warning, one of the players didn't last very long for various reasons, but the biggest one was if things didn't go exactly his way, he would flip out. We had just started playing Savage Worlds with the Superpowers companion. We were playing low-level heroes that are trying to prove themselves to the city and to the heavier hitters of this world. Think like non-copyright infringement knockoffs of DC heroes. I will list the characters and a bit of background so you have an idea of what kind of a group we had. First off, we had Lewis's character, Blue Bolt. Failed electrical engineer and former criminal with the power to perceive, create and manipulate electricity. His powers activated in prison after he was a victim of sexual assault. Next, Latex, ridiculously rich man who also wants excitement and fame, so he hired engineers to build him a battle suit. His goal is to simply bask in the adoration of people like the big league heroes of this world. Think more along the lines of small mech rather than power armour. Next, Professor. A college physics and chemistry professor that has been able to tap into magic and use his discipline in the sciences to make his spells adaptable, repeatable and reliable. Next, White Shadow. Former Korean super spy with access to stealth suits and gauntlets that could magnify and redirect kinetic energy, adding to her already formidable skills in hand-to-hand combat. Then we had Dark Portal. Angry emo kid that can summon demonic suicide bomb creatures from another dimension. He could also spray acid on things, which to him sounded like a good idea. And lastly, we got the controller, who was the GM played NPC. He's the guy that organised this group. He has been around since the first supers made their appearance during the Cold War era, working as a spy for the CIA. So that's the characters. Let's get into the story. The first action we had was when the controller called on the group to stop a bank robbery. First, no one other than Latex had any reliable means of transportation. I mean, no flight, no super speed, nothing. So the GM reckoned that we had a company van similar to a church van with the group insignia on the side. So we roll up in the company van to a large 4-storey building with the retail bank on the first floor, and the building is already surrounded by pre-Bush era cops, meaning that they don't have assault rifles, drones, tanks and steroid monkey SWAT teams in the wings. So we must try and get into the bank and steal the show, but there's no way the cops are going to let us do their job if they can help it. We tasked White Shadow to get in using stealth and to get us the information, like numbers of enemies, layout, etc. The rest of us will go on the roof of the building next door and the professor will fly us over to the roof of the bank and we can work our way down. We asked Latex to wait where he is and only come in when we call for him because he's huge. He's like 3 steps in growth power built into his suit, so he's close to about 9 foot tall. White Shadow makes it in and wall crawls around the bank and gets the numbers of the bad guys. We have 6 guys with M16s. There are 3 of them in the lobby keeping the workers and customers under watch, with one of them more focused on the front door. One is doing something on a bank computer and the other 2 are clearing the money to make sure that there are no die packs or trackers on the cash or the safety deposit boxes whilst loading them into their duffel bags. Because of this information, the rest of us on the roof know we can work our way down and use the stairwell to burst in and subdue the robbers. White Shadow would take out the two at the main vault without an issue. Blue Bolt and the Professor should be able to lock down the lobby. Dark Portal can go after the guy on the computer, and if things go horribly wrong, Latex can burst through the front door and lay down the pane. This is where everything went wrong. The Professor forgot to swap out his spells, so he still had Flight on instead of having Armour or Ranged Defensive spell. We told White Shadow to attack the two in the vault the second we kicked the stairwell door in. She would have the drop on them, so chances of hitting them and doing devastating damage would be increased. My character goes to kick in the stairwell door and fails miserably. The noise is what lets White Shadow know to attack. She drops from the ceiling, knocking out the first robber instantly, and then she shot the second robber with her glove, but didn't do enough damage to get past his Kevlar vest. He turns and shoots her at point blank range. Her armour keeps her from taking damage, but now all the bank robbers know something is going on. The police hear the gunfire and start getting angsty with triggers. Latex to the rescue. He powers up his jets and flies like a missile, bursting through the bank doors and sending glass and metal flying into the lobby. Everybody goes into full panic mode now as the bank robbers turn and start shooting at Latex. I tried to kick the door in again and get another failure. Dark Portal decides to give it a go and the door flies open. He and the Professor rush in. White Shadow is still trying to fight this one bank robber, but is rolling like absolute crap. She's afraid he's about to go full auto on her, and that is definitely going to hurt even with her armour. So she tries to turn on the invisibility and stealth jump onto the wall. She succeeds. Latex then decides that it makes perfect sense to use his full strength and wild attack the bank robber nearest to him, the one watching the door. This kills him instantly. He does something like 9 levels of damage, splattering this guy with his main hand, then turns his missile launcher on the others with no regard for hostages and fires away. Thankfully he missed, but still did an enormous amount of damage to the structure of the building. The Professor finally realises that he's still got the flight ability on, switches it and tries to cast armour on himself and fails. He promptly gets shot in the chest twice. Dark Portal summons his dimensional beasts and they charge in to attack the robber that had just shot the Professor. They both fail their grappling ability, but their exploding ability already has kicked in, so they will blow up at the beginning of the next round. Again, the hostages weren't even considered. They would be caught in the blast too. I finally make it in and use a non-lethal area blast to hopefully knock out the beasts and the robber they are right next to, because there's also hostages close enough to die. Sure, some hostages would be knocked out as if tasered, but better than dark dimensional energy ripping their bodies apart. So about 4 hostages get knocked out, 1 bank robber and 1 beast. The other one is still going to blow up on the next round. The bank robber that was by the vault runs round the corner, sees the chaos in the lobby and decides to open fire at the robot looking thing covered in gore. Meanwhile, White Shadow is getting into position to get the drop on him for the next round. Latex's reaction to getting shot at is to shoot another missile straight back at the perpetrator. The bank robber explodes instantly and White Shadow gets caught in the blast. Luckily, her suit keeps her from taking as much damage, but she's still heavily wounded. The dimensional beast explodes and takes several people with him, including the other beast that was shaken. I try to drag the Professor into the stairwell since he's wounded, and I know next round I'm going to have to do the same for White Shadow since she's messed up bad as well at the other end of the bank. Latex charges in once more and double punches the bank robber in the lobby, turning him into paste. Dark Portal decides to use his acid throwing ability at the last bank robber that was at the computer terminal and misses due to the guy having cover as he was running for the emergency exit at the back. I try to run across the lobby to get to White Shadow because I know she's injured, and the bank robber is obviously going to run into the cops at the back of the bank since the building is surrounded. It didn't help that we caused so much damage we would probably be sued by the bank and the city. Latex then decides he wants to use his jets to do a flying punch at the last bank robber who's trying to run away. The GM makes him do an agility check to avoid hitting the counters, desks and more importantly me, since I was crossing the lobby at the same time. He rolls snake eyes. He nearly kills me, smashes into the teller counter and barrels through and out the rear emergency exit, basically clearing the way for the bank robber to get away. All of us went from being barely on the radar as far as superheroes go to being considered a public nuisance and danger to all in less than what transpired to be about 30 seconds of in-game action. Nearly every session after that, everyone made an attempt to improve her public image, but eventually we may or may not have been responsible for tearing a rift in time and space, allowing a fractured land mess from Rael to make its way to Earth. In the process, the professor became an undead wraith-like being. Latex died fighting off a swarm of Cthulhu spawn. White Shadow bailed on us rather than go down with the ship. Dark Portal died along with his beasts, trying to keep a dimensional portal from opening into what would transpire to be a dream dimension of Cthulhu. And my character was captured and turned into an unwilling power source for a less than reputable government organisation. Blue Bolt was later used as a plot hook a couple of hundred years in the future. New characters were tasked to knock out the power grid of an enemy state in a post-apocalyptic version of the first game, and it turns out Blue Bolt was still alive and being used as a generator. So the party had to choose between completing the mission or killing a living innocent that was being abused and exploited. Yours, Luis Peneda, part-time gamer. Well, that's super whoopsies. I think you agree, it's hilarious. I don't think I'd have Latex in my team if I was going to try and save. Well, no one really got saved. A lot of people got killed. I mean, they was only meant to stop a bank robbery. Jesus, like a little entry-level mission, try and get their names out there. And before you know it, total destruction, death, dimensional portals, explosions, beasts, acid getting flown everywhere, human pate, blood jam. Total destruction. Wow, what a story. I love it. Thank you so much for sending that in. I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope I didn't hash it up too badly. If you'd like to send us your letters, and obviously we'd read them out and turn them into bonus, then please do. You can get in contact with us by emailing us, which is tabletoptwats@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can go over to Facebook, which is @TabletopTwats. Nope, that's the Twitter, @TabletopTwats. The Facebook is facebook.com/tabletopT. And lastly, G+. Come over to the Nerds International community. We're on there, and come say hi. Send us a letter, we'll read it out. And also, obviously, if you'd like to support this shit show, then please do. Get over to Patreon, sling us a buck. We very much appreciate it, and we love the support. So that's it from me. I hope I haven't bored you too much. Stay tuned and have a fantastic day, y'all. Chicken McBosh.